ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थसुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदायादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। आप सभी का स्वागत है।
We welcome all of you to today's Bhagavad-Gita class.
और हम अध्ययन कर रहे हैं
We are studying third chapter, verse 35 onwards. Bhagavan Shri Krishna is answering Arjuna's questions, wherein Arjun had asked,
माम नियोजयसि केशव व्यामिश्रेणैव वाक्येन बुद्धिं मोहयसि मे। तो उन्होंने पूछा था कि आप मेरे को निश्चय करके बताइए मेरे को क्या करना है।
he had asked that please tell me decisively what I should do, because sometimes you say that Buddhi Yoga or Jnana Yoga is Shreshth, sometimes you say Karma Yoga is superior, and if Buddhi Yoga is superior, then why are you engaging me in this ghastly war? So Bhagavan explained to him at great length that every person should perform his prescribed karma, and by performing karma, nobody can live without performing karma,
स्वभाव के अनुसार
but
करते
the
हैं।
karma must be
यह
according to one's
प्रकृते
swabhava. Like he said,
सदृशम चेष्टते स्वस्या प्रकृतिर्ज्ञानवानपि। लेकिन उस कर्म को राग द्वेष से रहित होकर
but
करे।
the karma should be performed being devoid of raga and
क्योंकि उन्होंने
dvesh,
कहा कि प्रत्येक व्यक्ति
attachment and aversion.
अपने विषय में राग द्वेष रहता है, तो उसके वश में न हो, क्योंकि ये राग
So
द्वेष
one
जो
should
है
not be under the control of raga and dvesh,
परिपंथी है,
because
चोर है,
this raga and dvesh are the obstacles,
भ्रांतिहीन लुटेरे
they
हैं,
are the
हमारे
dacoits,
जीवन को विनष्ट करते हैं।
they destroy our
तो
life.
स्वाभाविक प्रश्न आता है कि अगर हम राग
So
द्वेष
the
को
natural
नियंत्रण
question
में
that arises
नहीं
that
है
is that if
तो
we
कैसे करें।
should not be under the control of raga and
तो इसके
dvesh,
उत्तर
then
में
what should
भगवान
we
कुछ
do?
श्लोक बोलते हैं,
So in
इसलिए
answer
भगवान
to that,
समझाते हैं।
Bhagavan is answering here.
परधर्मात् स्वनुष्ठितात् स्वधर्मे निधनम श्रेयः परधर्मो भयावह। स्वधर्म के पालन में भले ही
Translation:
किसी तरह का
the
दुख हो,
performance of one's
दूसरे के
own
धर्म को
duty,
अपनाने से
even
श्रेष्ठ है।
if somehow deficient,
भले ही
is
दूसरे
superior
के
to
धर्म
taking
को
up
अच्छे
another's
से किया
duty,
गया हो,
even if performed well.
यहाँ तक कि स्वधर्म का
Even
निर्वाह
death
करते हुए भी
occurring in the discharge of one's own
वो
duty
दूसरे के
is
धर्म को पालन
superior
से
to
श्रेष्ठ
the
है,
execution of
क्योंकि
another's
दूसरे
duty,
के धर्म का
since
पालन
the
भयावह है।
latter's path is perilous.
तो यहाँ स्पष्ट रूप से भगवान अर्जुन को फिर
So here, very
निर्देश देते हैं
clearly,
कि आपको
Bhagavan is
स्वधर्म का
explaining
पालन
to
करना चाहिए।
Arjuna that
पहले
you
भी उन्होंने
should
कहा था,
perform your own
युद्धस्व
swadharma.
विगत ज्वरा
Earlier also he had
स्वधर्मो
said,
भूत्वा युद्धस्व विगत ज्वरा, और उसी बात को फिर विभिन्न तरीके से समझाया। तो
so
यहाँ
he
फिर
is
कहते
just
हैं कि
explain what he explained earlier, he
युद्धस्व
explained that
विगत
again in
ज्वरा,
different
युद्ध
ways.
करने में
Now
कुछ
Arjun may
कमी
think
है,
that
कुछ दोष हैं,
there is some
ऐसा
defect
लगता है कि कुछ
in
पाप है,
engaging in the war. Arjun
और वो
may
कोई
be
धर्म अपनाना चाहता है,
afraid that I may
तो
incur
उसमें
sin if I engage in the war.
उसने कहा
That's
कि
why he wants
उसमें
to take
ऐसा
up
नहीं है।
another's dharma by
तो
taking
भगवान
doing
कहते हैं
bhiksha,
कि उससे
begging alms.
आपका कल्याण नहीं होगा,
So Bhagavan is telling that dharma will not
क्योंकि वास्तव
lead
में
to your
स्वधर्म
benefit,
पहले तो छोड़ना
because
कठिन है,
first of all, it is very
अगर आप
difficult
प्रयास
for
करेंगे
anyone to
छोड़ने
give
का,
up his or her own swadharma,
और दूसरा अगर वो छोड़ देगा तो उससे
even if
फायदा
one
नहीं होगा।
tries. And if he is able to give that up, that
तो इस बात
then
को
also he
भगवान
will
बार
not
बार
get any benefit by
समझाते
giving
हैं,
up
और
his
ये
own
बहुत बड़ी
swadharma.
समस्या है
So
हमारे
Bhagavan
समाज में
is
आज।
explaining this again and again,
और
and
हमें
this is
विशेष रूप
a
से ये समस्या
serious
बढ़ गई है
problem in today's
कि किसी को
society,
पता ही नहीं है
and
कि
this
स्वधर्म
problem
क्या है,
has
स्वभाव क्या
increased
है,
a lot because nobody
प्रकृति
knows
क्या है,
what is his or her
और क्या
own
उसको करना
swadharma,
चाहिए।
prakriti, what he should
आज
do,
का
what
युवा
she should
बहुत
not
भ्रमित
do.
है,
Today, the youth is
और
highly confused
वो
and
भक्ति से
bewildered
प्रभावित होता है,
and becomes
इसलिए
influenced by the dharma of
विज्ञापन
other
द्वारा
people,
प्रचार किया जाता है
by
विभिन्न
being
तरीके से।
influenced by advertisements.
तो उससे व्यक्ति ना इधर का रहता है ना उधर का रहता है,
So, because of that, the
क्योंकि
youth
अपना
is neither
स्वभाव
able
बदल नहीं
to
सकता है, जैसा पिछले श्लोक
change
में
his swabhava,
पिछले श्लोक में बताया उन्होंने
as
कि
we
कोई
understood
ज्ञानवान
in
पुरुष जो
the
होता है तो वो अपने
previous
स्वभाव के अनुसार
verses,
ही चेष्टा करता है।
that even a wise
और
man
आगे कि वो
works
ज्ञानवान है
according to his own swabhava only.
बिना उसकी चेष्टा होगी,
He may be doing
बिना
that without
चेष्टा
raga
के
and dvesh
स्वभाव
because he is a
अनुसार
wise person, but then he will
स्वभाव
work according to swabhava only
स्वभाव दुरतिक्रम, स्वभाव को
because
छोड़ना बहुत कठिन
giving
है।
up one's swabhava is extremely
तो
difficult.
दूसरे को
So,
देखकर उससे प्रभावित होकर उस जैसा
when
बनना
we
चाहता
become
है,
influenced by
तो
others
उसमें क्या
and
होगा
we
कि
want to
जो बनना
become
चाहता है
like
वैसा
them,
बन नहीं
then
सकता,
what happens is that we are unable to become like that person because we do not
क्योंकि
have that
उसके
qualification and it is not our swabhava. And we what we could have become by our swabhava, we lost that
तो
opportunity
इसी के
also.
लिए भगवान
So we
अर्जुन
lost
को
from both the sides.
आज जो
That's why
समाज में
Bhagavan is stressing on this
अनेक
point.
अपने
In
कार्यों से
today's
असंतुष्ट हैं,
society,
जॉब
we see that
डिससेटिस्फेक्शन
there
है,
is a lot of job
तो वास्तव में
dissatisfaction
युवा
among
बहुत
people,
भ्रमित है कि उनको क्या
and the
करना
youth are
चाहिए, क्या नहीं
confused
करना चाहिए।
what they should do or what they should not
और
do.
जो भी ज्ञान प्राप्त होता है वो ऐसे लोगों से
Whatever
प्राप्त होता है
knowledge
जिनका
they acquire
अंतर्निहित
from
उद्देश्य रहता है, और
people
उद्देश्य
who have
अच्छा
their
नहीं
own
होता है,
selfish motives.
तो
They
उसी
just want to
प्रकार
earn
वे
money. That is why
विज्ञापन लाते हैं,
they bring
जिससे
such,
पब्लिक
they
को
display such
कंफ्यूजन होता है।
advertisements by which public will become
तो वो होता
confused
नहीं है,
and will like to emulate
क्योंकि हर
such
एक
people.
व्यक्ति की अपनी एक
So such people are not successful because every person has his own unique personality, and real joy is in living according to that personality. Because if that person is not living according to his personality, then what is happening is you are swimming against the current of the river. The current of the river is very strong, and you are swimming against that current, so you will not reach anywhere. You will either end up drowning in the river, or at the most you will remain in the same position but keep struggling. So if we analyze our body also, like every person has his own swabhava, every object has its own dharma. Fire has its dharma, water has its own dharma. So these elements, these material elements, they do not give up their swabhava. Birds, animals, they do not give up their swabhava. That's why they live happily. If they start functioning according to others' swabhava, then they will also fall in trouble. But it is only human being who tries to go against his own swabhava, and his life becomes miserable. If we analyze the parts of our body, so we have our hands. So hand has its own swabhava to grab, to hold some object, to give something to someone else. But if we try to perform the function of our hands with our feet, then there will be so much trouble. Maybe by practice you do it, but what you can do with your hands very easily, happily, without much effort, how can you do that with your own feet? When I was in school, a person arrived there. He did not have both the hands, so he used to do everything with his legs only. So he was showing how he could, tie the buttons with his feet. Everybody cannot do that. That person was doing because he was helpless. Now, if somebody says that no, I will walk on my hands, so it will be such a dangerous situation. So all the parts of our body, when they function according to their swabhava, the body functions remains healthy, it functions properly. Otherwise, there will be a lot of problem in the body. Similarly, we should understand our own swabhava, and we should work according to our swabhava. And then we have our own relations, father, mother, brothers, sisters. They have their own dharma. If they adopt others' dharma, if husband starts behaving like brother, if brother starts behaving like husband, then there will be so much chaos in the society. If brother behaves like a husband with his sister, then will the husband tolerate that? So there will be so much problem. So if you adopt others dharma, what you will get is only fear. So it is not much difficult to understand, but we do not apply this teaching in our life. Our life will blossom like a flower only when we work according to, we train ourselves according to our swabhava, and we work according to our swabhava. Every person is like a seed, just like a seed fructifies, and then slowly plant develops. Then there are flowers, there are fruits. So the fruit will be according to the seed only. If the seed tries to become something else, it is not possible. So it won't be able to generate another type of fruit. But human being is working like this only because the seed does not have any capacity to work against its swabhava. If you water it, it will slowly the plant will develop according to the seed only. But in case of human being, what happens is human being wants to imitate others, and the main reason is that there is a lot of temptation in following another person's dharma. When we see some superior person, some famous person, some sports person, some politician,
तो हमारे मन में भी आता है कि हम भी ऐसे बने,
then
क्योंकि उनको
we
देख
also
करके
get the thought in our mind
अपने
that we
दोस्त
should also be like this, because you have already seen
पता नहीं है क्या होगा,
you are seeing the flower. Now in your own case you don't know what will happen to the seed, but the other person's seed has already fructified. So you are just seeing the flowers, the fruits, and you also want to become like
लेकिन
that.
वो तभी संभव है अगर आपका
But
जो
that is only possible
सामर्थ्य है वैसा
if you also have the same potential, the same
वैसी
qualification,
योग्यता
same aptitude, same
संभव है।
eligibility. Only then it will be possible. Otherwise, it will not be
तो क्या
possible.
होगा कि पूरा जीवन आप एक समाज
Rather,
में जीते
what
रहेंगे,
will happen is you will continue to lead your entire life
काश मेरा ऐसा
with
मकान
in
होता,
a
ऐसी
dream.
पत्नी होती और ऐसा
Like
पति
people
होता,
dream that I wish I had such wife, such house,
उसमें
such
योग्यता है ही नहीं
business.
तो वो सपना ही
So you
देखता
do not
रहेगा,
have that qualification, so you keep
जिसको कर
dreaming.
सकता था वो तो करेगा
And what you could have done,
और
you
दूसरों को
are
उसकी
unable to
कमियां
do that
दिखाता
also.
रहेगा,
And you are
जिसको
dreaming to live
जो
another
नहीं हो
person's
सकता था वो
life,
जीवन
so you
उसका
cannot fulfill that dream. So then
उसकी
you
दृष्टि में रहता
entire
रहेगा,
life gets wasted dreaming,
जिसको
and then
जॉब
you are
डिससेटिस्फेक्शन
just living in
कार्य
dissatisfaction, what
असंतुष्टि या
people
कार्य
often
असंतोष।
call as job dissatisfaction.
तो ऐसी समस्या आज हमारे समाज में बहुत देखने को
So in
मिलती है।
today's society, this problem is very common.
मेरे को याद है कि एक मेरी विद्यार्थी थी यहाँ पर, तो वो बता रही थी वो कैलिफोर्निया में रहती है, उसका
So
लड़का था जो
some
स्कूल
time ago, a student was there, and
स्कूल जाता
she
था
was in
तो उसका
California.
स्कूल
So
में
the
उसका मकान
son
बनता था,
used to go to
स्टीव जॉब्स
school,
जो एप्पल के
and on the way, there
संस्थापक थे,
was the residence of Steve Jobs,
तो
was
उसका
the
मकान
founder
बड़ा
of Apple Corporation.
विशेष मकान है,
So that
अमीर आदमी का मकान है।
residence, that building was
तो देखता
quite
था और कहता
special.
था मेरे को भी ऐसा
It
मकान
belonged to
चाहिए।
Steve Jobs. So when this boy used to see,
अब
he used to say that I also
उसने अपनी
want
माँ
this
को
type
बताया
of
तो कहती नहीं
residence.
तो माँ मेरे को बताएगी।
So he must have told
अब वो
his mother.
सोचता था
That's
कि
why
पूरी
she told
जिंदगी
this to
वही
me.
सपना देखता रहेगा,
So now what is happening is whole life he will keep dreaming about this, that I want a
और जो वो कर सकता
house
है वो नहीं
like
करेगा,
this. And
उसकी
what
क्या
he is
योग्यता
actually
है
capable of
वो
doing, he won't
कमजोरियां
be
हैं
able
उसकी
to
वो
do
नहीं
that
करेगा।
also.
तो
And
ऐसी
he will not
समस्या
function according to his own capability. Rather, he will try to lead another person's life.
बढ़ावा भी देते हैं
So this is a
जो
serious problem in society. And
उत्साहक
nowadays,
वक्ता हैं,
the
जो
speakers on social
दूसरों
media,
को प्रोत्साहित करते
the
हैं
motivational
कि आप कुछ भी
speakers,
बन सकते हैं,
they
आपकी
also try to tempt you by speaking
योग्यता की
like
कोई
this,
सीमा नहीं है।
that you have
जैसे
unlimited potential, you can do
दूसरों के
anything, you
उदाहरण
can
देकर
become anything, any
प्रलोभन
like
करते हैं
anyone. And then in order
कि
to tempt you, they give you a lot
खुद
of
ही एक
examples.
स्वभाव क्या है और उसके अनुसार कार्य कीजिए। अब वो जो जिनका उदाहरण दे रहे हैं वो, और वो शायद अपना भी उदाहरण दे रहे
Now
हैं,
they sometimes they give their own example, they give
तो
other
क्या है कि
people's
अगर मैं
examples.
वैसी
So
योग्यता थी तो वैसा बन गया
those
होता,
people whom
तो वैसा
example
नहीं
they are
बनेगा तो
giving,
बन जाएगा।
so those people had different
तो उनके अनुभव
qualification,
को
so
दूसरों को
they achieved
बताते हैं
that.
और दूसरों को
Everyone cannot be
उससे
like
बड़ा
that,
प्रलोभन मिलता
but
है।
they try to tempt
तो ये
their followers
परधर्म जो
with
है
such
ये बहुत ही
examples.
लुभावना दिखता है,
So imitating someone else
इससे
is very attractive,
हम बहुत प्रभावित हो जाते हैं।
and we get
तो
influenced
प्रभावित होना
by
ठीक है,
hearing
हमारे
such
शास्त्र में भी
stories.
कहा, भगवान ने भी कहा
So
यदि यदि आचरति श्रेष्ठ
it
तद
is good to
तदुत्तरजो
be
यद्यत्
influenced
प्रमाणम
by
कुरुते लोकस्तदनु
good
वर्तते।
people, successful
लेकिन वो
people.
श्रेष्ठ धर्म
But
के विषय में बता रहे हैं,
when Bhagavan is
वो इस विषय
speaking
में नहीं
about
बता
Yad
रहे
Yad
हैं कि
Acharati
यदि कोई
Shreshtas, he is
योग्यता
talking about
है
Shreshta Dharma.
और वो श्रेष्ठ पुरुष है तो दूसरों
Arjun
की
is a great warrior, he is
जिसकी
a
योग्यता
great person.
योद्धा
So
बनने की नहीं है वो
another
युद्ध करने
person
लगे उसको
who
देखकर
does not have the qualification to become a great
तो बोला
warrior,
कि देखो ये
Bhagavan does not
योग्यता
mean that
अपने
that
सिर पे
person
नहीं,
should also try to become like
आप भी
Arjun.
अपनी योग्यता को अपने सिर पे
What
नहीं
Bhagavan
रखिए,
means is that how Arjun has become so great by following his Swadharma, by being so
ये
dutiful,
है श्रेष्ठ
you
धर्म।
also become great by
इसमें
following your Sadharma and becoming
जो
dutiful.
लोग सफल
Not
हो
that you
जाते
start
हैं
copying Arjun. Those people who have become successful in their
चाहे वो
life,
खेल है,
in
चाहे वो
whatever field it may
चिकित्सा
be,
है,
whether it is sports
चाहे
or
वो
business
वैज्ञानिक है,
or
तो
it
हमें ये
is
देखना है कि वो कैसे
science.
अपनी मेहनत से अपने क्षेत्र में सफल
So,
हुए हैं,
what
उसमें
we
कितनी
should
लगन है,
learn is
तो
how
दूसरों
that
के
person is so
अनुकरण करके
hardworking,
सफल होगा।
dedicated, dutiful,
कि मेरे को
and became
इसी में
successful.
सफल होना है, यहाँ
So I
तक
have to
पहुँचना
call,
है।
we should emulate the person's attitude,
किसी
not
भी हमें
the
अपने जीवन
not
में
his own career itself.
महत्वपूर्ण कार्य करने हैं
That's
सफलता
why
के लिए,
in our life, in
एक
order
तो
to be successful, we have to do
अपने
two important
स्वधर्म का,
things.
अपने
One
स्वभाव
is
का ज्ञान होना,
having knowledge of our own
कि
swadharma,
स्वभाव के अनुसार हमारा धर्म क्या है।
and then according to that
स्वभाव तो
swabhava,
सभी का है,
what is our
लेकिन
dharma.
स्वभाव के अनुरूप हमारा जो कर्तव्य है शास्त्र अनुसार उसको धर्म बोलते हैं, उसको स्वधर्म बोलते हैं।
So according to that,
तो स्वभाव पता लगा के उसके शास्त्रीय
what we should do, that is
अनुरूप क्या
swadharma.
करना है।
So first we should check our
और
swabhava,
दूसरा
and then we should
वर्ग
see
संबंधी
what shastra prescribes
एक
for that,
बहुत
and we should work accordingly. And then we
जरूरी है।
should protect
हमें
ourselves
मन पर,
from
इंद्रियों
the
पर
temptations.
नियंत्रण करने की आवश्यकता है।
We should learn to regulate our
ये तो
senses, our mind.
आवश्यक है,
These
नहीं तो अब
this is very
हर एक
essential.
व्यक्ति
Otherwise,
भारत में, जैसे कोई दिखा रहा था छोटा सा वीडियो, हर एक व्यक्ति अपने को ऐश्वर्या राय बनाना चाहती है,
every woman wants to make herself as Aishwarya Rai.
पूरा पूरा जीवन उसका उसी में लगा
I
है।
saw this in a
अरे
small
उसकी
video
अपनी
clip.
योग्यता है,
So that is not
उसको करना
possible.
चाहता है तो
Aishwarya Rai has her own qualifications,
हर परिवार में
capability.
हर एक
You have
व्यक्ति में
qualifications in some unique
एक
field.
इकलौती
Every Bhagavan has
एक
given
योग्यता दी
some
है,
unique qualification to every
और ये
person,
भगवान का एक कौशल है कि
and this
मनुष्य जीवन
is
में कोई भी
a
धनुष एक
great
जैसा नहीं
quality
है।
of Bhagavan. This is his expertise,
आप कोई
how
भी
he
तीर
has
चलाइए,
created
कोई
that
कमल
no two human beings are exactly
तीर वो
same.
एक जैसे निकल के आते
If
हैं।
you
ये
manufacture
तो माँ बाप से जो
cars in a
विकल्प
factory,
पैदा होते हैं तो वो भी
they
अलग
are all
अलग
same. But
स्वभाव के और अलग
we
अलग
see that even if twins are
विशेषताएं हो
born,
सकती हैं,
even the twins are not
लेकिन
exactly same. They may have some similarities, but they have lot of
तो
differences
इसको
also.
समझना, और उसी में
So
एक सौंदर्य है। जैसे एक अगर बगीचा है, उसमें अगर सब पूरे यहाँ से वहां तक 15 किलो 20 किलोमीटर तक
like
सारे
let's
एक जैसे
say
हैं,
you have a garden,
तो उसमें क्या
and
सौंदर्य है। लेकिन अगर
if the
रंग
entire
बिरंगे
garden
फूल
has all
एक
the
साथ
same
हैं,
type of flowers, then
तो
it
भगवान
is not so
में
attractive. But if
विविधता
you have
है,
lot of variety, then it is attractive. So
और उस
Bhagwan's,
विविधता को
so
हमें
this material
समझना है।
nature that Bhagavan has created, it has lot of
तो
variety.
इसलिए
So we have to understand
हर
that variety. We have to
धर्म जो है
understand our own swabhava.
उसको समझ के उसके
So
अनुसार हमको कार्य करना है।
what is our swabhava? What is our
इसको तो
dharma?
धर्म करने में आसान है।
Accordingly, we should work. It may be
इसको बहुत
easier
लोग ऐसे करते हैं,
to
साधु बनना तो
copy or imitate someone
आसान काम
else.
है, साधु बन
Like
जाओ।
people say, better to become a sadhu. You don't have to do anything. It is very
पद भी
easy.
मिलता है, पैसा भी
Sadhus
मिलता है,
get lot of
हर
respect
जगह पद भी
also.
मिलता
They
है,
get lot of money as donation also. They get free food in the
तो
bhandara.
लेकिन
They do not
आपके
have to
अंदर
do
वो धर्म
anything.
नहीं है
But then
जो
you have
वास्तव
to
में
first of all check
एक विरक्त व्यक्ति
whether
के
that
लिए
is your own dharma or
ऐसा
no.
लगे कि अब सब कुछ
That dharma of being a sadhu is for a renounced person.
लेकिन मूल में तो भिक्षा एक विरक्त व्यक्ति को देने दी जाती थी, उनका अधिकार था, या
Though
ब्रह्मचारी को दी
originally
जाती थी।
bhiksha was given only to renounced people,
तो दूसरे का
not to
देना
anybody dressed as
आसान भी
sadhu.
है, और उसमें मान
So
सम्मान भी
following
मिलता है,
another's dharma may be
वैभव भी मिलता है
easy
आपको,
and it may give you lot
तो
of
भी उसका नहीं
respect,
करना चाहिए,
name, fame, etc.
क्योंकि वो
Still, you should not follow
व्यक्ति
another
वास्तव में
person's
साधु
dharma
है
because
जिसके अंदर
superficially it may
भगवान बाबा जी
appear
ने कहा कि
it
परब्रह्म
may
निहित
appear
है।
very attractive, but the
जैसे
result will be very
गीता
dangerous.
के
Like
अंतिम
Bhagavan is
अध्याय
telling
में
here
भगवान कहेंगे
that following another
कि
person's dharma
ऐसा
is
सुख
can be
जो
ghastly.
आरंभ में
Like later
सौभाग्य
Bhagavan
है,
will say that
लेकिन
happiness
उसका परिणाम विषमिव है, परिणामी
which
विषमिव,
is temporarily
उसका
immediately very
फल
attractive, later it will become
जो सुख
poisonous.
राजसिक है, तो उसका वो राजस
That is
रजस
rajasic,
सुफलम दुखम,
and
उसका फल
rajas leads
दुखी
to
होगा।
dukkha.
तो ऐसा कार्य नहीं करना चाहिए,
So we should not work like this.
और अपने धर्म में अगर कष्ट भी है
Even if there
और
is
उसमें
trouble
हमको उतना मान
in
सम्मान भी
following
नहीं
our
मिलता
own
है,
swadharma, and we do
उसमें
not
हमको
get
उतना धन भी नहीं
so
मिलता है,
that much name, fame,
और
wealth,
कुछ तपस्या आपको करनी पड़ती है,
and you
तो
have
कहेंगे
to
स्वधर्म
do austerity in your life.
श्रेयान, तो भगवान कहते हैं वही श्रेष्ठ है।
Still,
उसके
Bhagavan is
उसको
telling
हमें
that
पालन
is
करने में
best for
कठिनाई हो
you.
सकती है,
You may have difficulty in following that,
लेकिन फिर भी उसी को करना
but
चाहिए,
still you should follow that
क्योंकि
only,
उसी
your
से
own
आपका
swadharma,
कल्याण होगा।
despite all the troubles and
उसका कारण
miseries,
क्या है?
because that
आपका
will
स्वभाव
bring supreme benefit to you. It will be supremely beneficial. And why is it like that? Because you have got swabhav from your the karmas that you did in the previous birth, and you got that because you had desire like that. So after crossing that only you will enter spirituality. Otherwise, it will remain as a blockage. The desires that you have carried forward from the previous births, you worked accordingly. That is why you have that has become your swabhava. But now, if you do not work according to that swabhava and imitate someone else's dharma, you will not get what the other person got, and you will not be able to fulfill your own latent desires also. That's why you should not give up our own swadharma. That's why Bhagavan is repeatedly telling Arjun. Arjun had just asked that why should I fight in this war? What will be the benefit in fighting in this war? What will I gain? So Bhagavan replied that you have to follow your own dharma, and these are irreligious, these are adharmic people. So it is your dharma to fight against these adharmic people. It is the duty of a kshatriya to fight against adharma, irreligion. And if a kshatriya does not protest against adharmic people, then who will protest? If a kshatriya stops performing his own duty, then everywhere irreligious adharmic people will rule. That is what we see in today's society. So Bhagavan is speaking to the extent that even if you die performing your own swadharma, still you should not give it up.
तो प्राय करके
So mostly we are all afraid of death, and we are advised not to do anything that brings us closer to death. So, but Bhagavan is telling that you should be more afraid of following another person's dharma compared to being afraid of death. It is better to die performing one's own swadharma compared to imitating another's dharma, meaning that following another's dharma is more scary, more dangerous than even death. Every person has maximum fear of death only. But here Bhagavan is telling something else. He is telling you should be afraid more about following another person's dharma.
तो ये बड़ी विचित्र बात यहाँ बोल रहे हैं.
So here Bhagavan is telling something very interesting, that even if you have to give up your life for following your dharma, you should be willing to do that. But what is the situation in today's society? Today we see that no one is afraid, nobody is afraid of following another's dharma. They happily accept that.
यहाँ पर धर्म को भयावह बता रहे हैं, और अब परम धर्म अपनाना जो है एक.
So here Bhagavan is telling that it is dangerous to follow another's dharma, but now what we see in society, it has become a symbol of pride to follow another person's dharma. So this is the situation that we see today. What Bhagavan is teaching is exactly opposite. Bhagavan is saying that paradharma, following another's dharma, is not even equal to suicide. It is more dangerous than suicide. Bhagavan is telling, we know that suicide is sinful, but Bhagavan is telling that following another's dharma is more dangerous. And what is the reason? The reason is that when a person commits suicide, then he just kills his own body. He doesn't do anything to his chitta. His chitta remains what it is. When you follow another person's dharma,
क्योंकि आपके संस्कार, आपकी वासनाएं,
then you
आपके
are
स्वभाव तो आपके
trying to kill the whole chitta only.
चित्तानुरूप सर्वस्य
All
श्रद्धालु।
the swabhava, the vasanas, what you get is they all come
तो
from
जब आप
chitta
किसी
only.
धर्म को अपनाते हैं तो
When
निश्चित
you
ही
follow another person's
आप
dharma,
अपने चित्त की आत्महत्या कर रहे हैं,
you are trying, then it is like doing
जो कि शरीर की हत्या
suicide
से ज्यादा खतरनाक है,
or killing the chitta
क्योंकि होने
itself,
वाली तो
which is
आपकी
even more dangerous than killing the body,
मृत्यु ही नहीं
because
है।
anyway it is not possible
तो
to kill
आप
the chitta.
त्रिशंकु की तरह बीच में
So
लटके हुए
then
हैं।
you keep hanging in the
तो
between
इसलिए
like Trishanku.
हमें
You neither followed your
सबसे
swadharma nor you could kill the
और
chitta.
स्वधर्म पर ध्यान,
So we should focus on our swadharma
हमारी
and we
यही
should
दशा है।
be very careful
हमको
of following another
यही
person's
सफलता मिलेगी
dharma.
जीवन में
If we
कि
if we work
मैं
like
इस
this,
बात
then
को
we will
जानने
achieve
लगूं
success
कि
in
मैं क्या
life.
हूँ
We should
और मैं क्या हो सकता हूँ।
remain aware about what
तो
we
इसके
are,
लिए
what is
हमें
our
थोड़ा
capability,
साहसिक
what we
बनना
can
होगा,
become. So it
थोड़े
needs a lot of
साहस चाहिए
courage to follow
कि
dharma.
अपने उस पर
One needs to be highly
अटल रहना।
courageous to follow
नहीं
his
तो
swadharma.
माँ बाप कहते हैं बेटा तू
Because
इंजीनियर
what
बन,
happens is the parents
अब
they
उसकी
force the children that you
इच्छा
become engineer.
मतलब उसका स्वभाव संगीत का है और उसको आप बना दो इंजीनियर,
Let's say somebody's
तो कैसे
swabhava
इंजीनियरिंग
is
करेगा,
to be a musician, but you
कभी
try
इंजीनियर
to
नहीं
make him
बनेगा।
engineer.
और मैं ऐसे लोगों
Then
को
how will
जानता हूँ
he remain happy as an
कि
engineer?
एक
He
ही
will always
परिस्थिति
remain
को
miserable.
उनके माँ
I know
बाप
such people,
किसी
many people that
क्षेत्र
uh,
विशेष में पढ़ने के लिए
their
लगाते हैं,
parents
उन्होंने पढ़
forced
लिया
them to
और वो
study in a
बहुत
particular
मेहनत
field
करें तो वो
and pressurized them a lot,
अच्छी योग्यता
and
प्राप्त की, लेकिन उनका मन
that
तो नहीं है
person, that boy or girl achieved
तो
degrees,
दुखी रहते हैं।
academic achievements in that
तो उसके
field,
परिणाम
but
क्या
the
है,
person is not
वैसे
happy.
तो हमको
So what was the result?
सुखी सुख चाहिए
Because
होता है,
ultimately
और
what we
परमात्मा
desire in life
हमें
is
इच्छा देते हैं
happiness.
हमारे जीवन में
Ultimately we
सुख
should
हो,
achieve
यश
happiness.
प्रसाद, यही तो सबकी इच्छा है। लेकिन अब माँ बाप उस क्षेत्र में क्यों लगाते हैं, क्योंकि वो
But
देखते हैं
why
कि इस
are
क्षेत्र में
the
जाएंगे तो उसको
parents
पैसा मिलेगा,
forcing their children
पढ़ेंगे
to
तो
get into
करोड़पति
such
बनेंगे,
field?
उनको
Because parents see
पैसा
that there is a
कमाना
lot of,
पड़ेगा, पेट्रोल
you can earn a
भरवाना
lot of
पड़ेगा,
money in that
पैसा
field.
लगाएंगे उसको
Otherwise,
पैसा
they
मिलेगा,
scare the children that you will have to work as a labor in petrol pump or
सर्वर बनना
your
है
life
इस
will
तरह
be
से।
miserable like
तो वो
this.
अपने स्वभाव को छोड़कर किसी
So then
दूसरे
what
क्षेत्र
happens?
में
The children
वो अध्ययन
they
करते
give
हैं
up their
जिसमें उनको
swabhava
लगता
and
है
they
कि सफल ही
study
नहीं होगा,
in some other field
और फिर
wherein either they will not
उसके
be
मन में चिंता
successful
बैठेगी,
or
वो
even if they
छोटे
have
होने पर
achieved
भी कुछ
something,
मादक द्रव्य का उपयोग करेगा,
they will not be
नशे का
happy,
करेगा,
and
जो कि
they,
उसके
in order to get rid of their misery, they
इतने
will
मादक द्रव्यों का
take to
धंधा है,
intoxicants.
कॉलेज
Nowadays
यूनिवर्सिटी के
there is
कैंपस में
so much of rampant drug
तो
abuse
इसका
going on
परिणाम
in
यही है
college campuses, hostels, etc. It's a very dangerous, very
जिसको
precarious
हमारे
situation
समाज में एक ब्रह्मचर्य आश्रम बोलते हैं,
that
और
in
जिसको
our
भगवत
Shastras, student life
गीता
is
जीवन
celebrated as Brahmacharya
इसमें
Ashram,
वहाँ जो
a life
चीज़ों
of
को कर रहा है
immense regulation,
पूरा
discipline.
ये मादक द्रव्यों
But
का
nowadays,
काम
that
काज
entire
करने के
student
लिए,
life, which should be of
तो
Brahmacharya, that is
इसीलिए
being wasted in intoxicants.
तो ये
Students are
जीवन में क्या
so
करें,
much absorbed in
तो उसका मूल
intoxicants.
कारण यही है कि
Then what will
मनुष्य
they achieve in their
अपने
life?
स्वभाव के
Now
अनुरूप
the
चलता है,
why they are becoming
उसको
like this, the
ठोकर
reason is that something
ठोकने
has, some
वाला
other
स्वभाव
career has been forced upon them.
स्वभाव नहीं
They
है,
are not taking to their own
तो
swabhava.
वो भी रुचि नहीं लेंगे,
The
ठोकने
people
वाले
who are
को भी
teaching,
उनका
they do
स्वभाव
not
नहीं है
have
उस
the
विषय को पढ़ने का,
swabhava of
तो
teaching,
इसमें ये
and the
भयानक
student
समस्या
also
है
does not have the
कि
swabhava in that
हम
particular field.
कुछ
So
करने
then
के
what
लिए
happens is that the students are miserable and then
ऑडिशन
they
करते हैं,
take to
तो इन
intoxication,
व्यक्तियों को इसका
launching
निवारण
agitations here and there,
यही है
political
कि
unrest. Otherwise,
हमारा
what do students have got to do with
स्वभाव
political unrest? Somewhere something is happening in the world and
उन्नत
students are
बढ़ाने
launching
का है,
agitations. What have students got
और
to do with all that?
वो करेंगे
They
तो
should
इससे
simply
कुछ नहीं
focus on
होगा।
their studies. So then this is
पढ़
called
रहे हैं
paradharma. Neither they are studying
राजनीति का ही कर रहे हैं,
nor they are
फिर उनको
becoming successful in
नियंत्रित करने
politics.
के लिए इतनी
So
पुलिस
then
चाहिए,
in order to
इतने
control them, you
अधिकारी,
need so much of police
सारे
force.
तंत्र जो है उसी
So
में लग
then
जाता है।
so much of
तो इसलिए
energy
भगवान
of the
कहते हैं कि
administration
आपको
gets wasted in just controlling such unruly
अपने
behavior.
स्वभाव को समझना है,
That's why Bhagavan is
अपने
telling, first
स्वभाव
of
को
all, you should
अपनाना सीखना
understand
है,
your swabhava. You cannot
दूसरे
give
किसी
up
के
your
स्वभाव को आप
swabhava
अपना नहीं सकते,
and you cannot adopt
ये
another
परम सत्य
person's
है।
swabhava. This is eternal truth.
इसके
This cannot
पीछे
be changed.
अनेक कहानियां किस्से हमारे
There are lots of
शास्त्र
stories
में हैं।
which can prove
एक
this point.
बहुत बड़ी
In our
कहानी
Shastras, there
दृष्टांत
are many such stories.
महाभारत में है, धर्म
There
व्याध।
is a story in
फिर
Mahabharata,
उसमें व्याध
the
गीता
story
है।
of Dharma Vyadha.
व्याध गीता, व्याध माने हंटर।
So what he spoke, that is called Vyadha Gita. Vyadha means
ये क्या है कि
hunter.
एक ब्राह्मण
So the story goes like
लड़का था
this. So there
कौशिक,
was a Brahman boy.
तो
His
उसकी
name was
पढ़ाई जो है
Kaushik.
वो
He
बंद कर दी।
stopped his
जो उसका
studies.
धर्म था उस समय।
That was,
और
although that was his
माँ बाप
dharma,
को छोड़
and
के
he gave up
जंगल चला
his
गया
parents
तपस्या
and
करने के
went to
लिए।
the forest
तपस्या के बल से सब कुछ
for
प्राप्त कर
tapasya.
लिया। तपस्या करने के
He
बाद
had a desire to
देखा
achieve
कि जो तपस्या
anything
से प्राप्त
by
नहीं
the
होता,
power of tapasya. He thought
तो
that
वहाँ उसने गहन
anything
तपस्या
can be
की
achieved by tapasya. So he did
और
severe
उसकी
austerity
जटाएं बढ़ गई
in the forest.
और
So
लंबी लंबी
he
हो गई,
grew lot of
सिर के ऊपर बांधी
long
हुई।
matted locks. Hair had
और
grown very
एक
long.
स्थान पर खड़ा रहता
So
था
there was some jata on his
और
head,
इतना
and he
निश्चल भाव
used to
से खड़ा
just
रहता था
stand
कि कुछ पक्षियों
up
ने आके उसके
straight,
अंडे दिए।
upright. So he was so fixed up
उसका
while
जो
standing
जटाजूट
that
ऊपर था
some
उसने
birds
घोंसला
they
बना दिया उसमें।
they made his jata as a nest and they laid
तो
eggs
उसको
in
पता
that.
चला, पता था कि अंडे दिए, तो अब वो बिल्कुल हिलता डुलता नहीं था कि
So Kaushik
मैं
understood
कहीं
that,
हिलूंगा डुलूंगा
and
तो
he was not
गिर जाएंगे।
wavering at all because he was scared
तो
that if
वहाँ पर
I
से बच्चे निकले
start shaking or
और
moving,
बड़े
the
हुए,
eggs will fall
और
down, they'll
जब
break.
वो उड़ गए तब वो वहां से हिला।
So the birds were
तो
born,
ऐसी ही
and
कहानी
when
है
they
एक
flew
तपस्या
away,
की।
then Kaushik
तो एक दिन वो
moved
एक
from
पेड़ के
there.
नीचे बैठा हुआ था
So like this, he
तपस्या
did
कर रहा
severe
था। उसके
austerity.
ऊपर एक
One day
चिड़िया
he was sitting under a
पेड़ के
tree
ऊपर
and
बैठी
doing
थी,
his tapasya, and
तो जब धूप
the
खिलती तो उसको
one
गुस्सा
bird
आया
from above
कि
passed stool on
पक्षी देख के
him.
उनको गुस्सा
So
हो गया।
people who do such tapasya, they are prone to
तो उसने
severe
गुस्से से
anger.
चिड़िया को देखा तो उसने
So he
गुस्सा
was
कर
so
दिया तो
angry.
चिड़िया मर गई।
He saw the bird, and just by his seeing that bird, his
तो अब इसको
power,
बहुत अभिमान
the
हो गया कि
bird
अब
fell down.
मेरी तपस्या सिद्ध
The
हो
bird
गई
died. So this Kaushik, he became very proud
कि अब मैंने चिड़िया को
that
मार
now
दिया
my
और मेरे
tapasya, my austerity
अब
has become
चिड़िया
successful,
मर गई इसलिए मेरी अभी
and
तपस्या
just by
सिद्ध हो गई।
my anger,
तपस्या करते हुए लोग कुछ लोग ऐसे ही सोचते हैं।
the bird the bird died. So
तो
I
उसको
have
रोक
become a
दिया कि
powerful
तुम्हारे
tapasvi.
देखने से चिड़िया
So
मर गई,
many
सब लोग
tapasvis
खड़ा हो गए।
they think like this. So
तो
it
उसको
doesn't make
समझा
any sense actually. I mean, by if you killed
तो
the
उसने
bird by your vision, what did you achieve by that?
तो
But
गांव
then
में उसने
he
तपस्या
became
की।
proud. So he went to the
गांव में
village
जाके उसने
to beg
भिक्षा
alms
मांगी,
there to do bhiksha.
भिक्षाम देही, कि मुझे भिक्षा दीजिए।
He was
तो बड़ा
asking
हुआ,
for bhiksha.
अंदर जो गृहिणी थी वो
So
बाहर आई,
the
उसने भिक्षा
lady who
दी
was inside, she did not come
और
out
उसने कहा
to
भिक्षा
give
दो।
bhiksha. So Kaushik again
तो वो
requested,
नहीं आई। तो
please
ऐसा
give
नियम है
bhiksha.
कि किसी के घर पर जाकर
So
अगर
it's
कोई
a
भिक्षा
rule
मांगे
that if you go to somebody, if
तो
tapasvi
उनका
goes to
ध्यान रहे
somebody's home and asks for
भिक्षा
bhiksha
देकर जाइए।
for 3 times,
तो उसने
and if
तीसरी
nobody
बार
gives
फिर कहा
bhiksha,
भिक्षाम
then
देही,
you go to some other home.
बाहर उसको
So he asked,
निकली
he
नहीं।
requested 3 times. Still,
तो
the lady
तब
did
क्रोध
not come
हुआ
out, and
क्योंकि
Kaushik
उसको अपनी
became
तपस्या का
angry
अभिमान था
because
और
he was
अभिमान का
proud of his
परिणाम
tapasya,
अधर्म होता है।
and pride
तो
results into
जब वो
anger.
खड़ा हुआ था तो फिर
So
गृहिणी
out
आई
of
और
anger,
उसकी
he was
तपस्या देख के
standing
गई
there,
और उसने कहा
and
कि
the lady came out
थोड़ी देर हो
and
गई,
she begged
जाने दो अब
forgiveness
जाए। तो अब तो
because
उसको
she was
गुस्सा
late.
आ गया था,
So
क्रोध आ गया
now
था और क्रोध
Kaushik was
मोह से
already angry.
सम्मोहात
And we know
भ्रम
that Krodha leads to
स्मृति
delusion,
भ्रंशात बुद्धि
and
भ्रष्ट।
then the memory is
तो
lost.
अब ये भूल गया कि मैं भिखारी हूँ और वो तो
Now
मुझे
this
भिक्षा देने
Kaushik
वाली है।
forgot that I am a
तो आपको
tapasvi,
उनके ऊपर गुस्सा नहीं करना
and
चाहिए।
I should not be
कहा कि
angry
आप इतनी देर से
on
खड़े
the
हैं
lady
तो
who is giving me
मैं
bhiksha.
आपकी सेवा में खड़ा
So
हूँ।
he was angry, he spoke angrily that why were you late? So she replied that I was feeding my
सेवा करते
husband,
हो, आपको पता नहीं
so
मैं
I
यहाँ
was
खड़ा
late.
हुआ हूँ।
So Kaushik said
तो
that, don't
गृहिणी
you
ने
know
कहा
that I
कि
am
बोले
standing
आपने
here,
सुना
I
था
am
आपकी
waiting?
आवाज़
So
को
she
सुन लिया
replied that,
मैंने।
yes, Maharaj, I heard
तो
you,
उसने फिर और
and
गुस्से
I
से
knew
कहा
that
कि
you were
सुना था तो
waiting.
फिर तुम आई क्यों?
So then he asked
तो
that
बोला
if
कि
you knew
महाराज
already,
मैं
why were
कुछ
you
भी
late?
नहीं हूँ।
So she replied
और
that,
आप
Maharaj,
मुझे
please
गुस्से से
understand
देखेंगे
that
तो
I
मैं
am not
मरूंगा।
the bird that you will look at me
तो
angrily
उसने जब ये
and
सुना
I will die.
तो वो
So
बड़ा
when
आश्चर्य
Kaushik
चकित हुआ।
heard this, then he was
बोला मैं तो जंगल
surprised.
से आया हूँ, मैंने तो किसी से बात भी नहीं की,
He
मुझसे
thought that I
कैसे
have
पूछ
just
रहे हो?
come from the forest. How did she know
तो अब
that
उसका
the
ईमान थोड़ा
bird died
ठंडा हुआ।
just by my looking at the bird? So now
तो
his
उसने पूछा
anger
कि आपको
subsided,
कैसे पता है
and then he
कि
asked that, "Oh
वो,
mother, how do you know
कहता है जो
that the bird
ज्ञान
died?"
प्राप्त है इस
So
तपस्या
the
करने
lady
से, इस
replied
अभ्यास द्वारा,
that the power that you
कहता
have
है कि मुझे
acquired
लगता है आपको
by this
पता है कि
tapasya,
आपने
I
तपस्या
have
किस
more
चीज के
power
लिए
than
की है।
you. So he was surprised that you are not doing any tapasya.
तो
So how come
उसने
you
उसने भी कहा
have
कि
so
मैं
much power?
पत्नी का
So
धर्म
she replied that I am
निभाता हूँ,
following my
और
dharma as a
इसी से
wife,
मेरे को इसने
serving my
पहचाना।
husband, and by
तो
following my
उसने
own swadharma, I have acquired so much power.
हम इतने
So
दिन
Kaushik
बात करते रहे,
realized that I am a fool. I wasted so much
तो
time in my life standing there doing severe austerity. So
तो कहता
he
है कि
requested the
आपने जो
lady
धर्म का उपदेश
that
करा उसका
please
वैसे मुझे
instruct
पता नहीं
me
है,
on dharma.
और
But the lady
मुझे
replied
बिल्कुल
that
पता भी नहीं है,
I am a
लेकिन
woman.
आपको
It
धर्म
is
ज्ञान
not
करना
my
चाहिए,
dharma to instruct you
तो
on
आप
dharma.
मिथिला जाइए,
But if
वहाँ
you
पे एक
actually want
व्याध
to
है,
learn dharma, you go to
वो आपको
Mithila.
उपदेश
There
करेगा।
is a Vyad or a
उसका
hunter
परिचय
there,
क्या है?
and he will instruct
मैं
you
ब्राह्मण
on dharma.
और
So
वहीं
Kaushik was
से आपको
surprised
धर्म का
that
उपदेश
I am a
दूंगा।
Brahman
तो
and
उसने
she is
कहता है कि मुझे
telling me
बिल्कुल
to go to
पता
Mithila
किया उन्होंने,
and
मैंने नहीं
take
देखा।
instruction on dharma from a Vyad,
तो
from a
कहता है कि
hunter.
अगर कहती है
It's
और
so
आपको
disgraceful.
कैसे पता
So the
है
lady
कि
completely
वहाँ
crushed
किसको
his
याद रहता है, आप कहाँ
ego.
रहती हैं, कहता है वो सब
And
पता
then
है,
he
आप क्यों
asked
जानते हैं।
that how do you know that a Vyad
तो
is
उसने
living
बोला
there
कि
in
बस थोड़ा
Mithila?
हो ही
So
जाता
she
है,
replied that I have Divya Drishti and divine vision. I understand all that.
दोनों का मेल कैसे है, तो वहाँ से फिर वो
So Kaushik was
ढूंढते ढूंढते
surprised.
मिथिला
How
गया,
can a Vyad know about
और
dharma?
ढूंढते ढूंढते उसने पता लगाया धर्म व्याद, तो धर्म
So
व्याद
he went to
वहाँ
Mithila and he
रहता था
was
और उपदेश
searching
बेचता था।
where is Dharma Vyad. So ultimately he
तो जब
found
वो वहाँ पहुँचा
Dharma
तो
Vyad
उसने पूछा कि
and
धर्म व्याद आप
he
हैं,
saw that
तो
this
उसने कहा हाँ
person
मैं ही
he
धर्म
had a
व्याद हूँ,
meat
किसी
shop.
और ने भेजा होगा आपको।
So he asked, "Are
तो
you
उसने
Dharma
कहा हाँ
Vyad?" So
एक्चुअली
then Dharma Vyad replied that,
ऐसा
"Oh,
ही है।
yeah, I realized that lady must
तो
have
उसने
sent
कोई
you."
व्हाट्सएप
So
वगैरह
now
नहीं किया,
Kaushik was even more surprised. There is no WhatsApp. How did he
आपको
know
कैसे पता चला।
that the lady has
तो उसने
asked
पूछा कि
me to
आपको
meet
कैसे
this
पता कि
person?
उन्होंने
So
भेजा है।
he asked him,
तो कहता है
he
कि
asked the Dharma Vyad, "How do you
बस
know?"
मेरे को, मैं अपने धर्म का पालन
So
करता
Dharma
हूँ।
Vyad said that I am
तो उसने
following
कहा
my
कैसे पता,
dharma,
तो कहता
my
थोड़ा सा
swadharma.
बताइए,
That's why I have this
थोड़ा
knowledge.
अभ्यास कर।
So Kaushik said, "What type of dharma are you following? You are selling meat."
तो उसने कहा बैठिए आप, थोड़ा मैं अपना काम कर लूँ, फिर
So
घर
he
चल के
replied
आपको मैं
that please wait,
दिखाऊंगा,
let me complete
मेरी
my
अभी दुकान का
job,
टाइम है, तो आप बैठिए
then
यहाँ पे।
we will go home
तो उसको
and
बैठाया
then
घर
I
पे दो
will
चार
explain
घंटे,
to you.
फिर
So
जब
he
उसको लगा कि
made
अब
Kaushik sit for few
व्याध
hours
कुछ
and then it
नहीं
was
है,
time to
तो उसको
close
घर पे लेके गया।
the shop.
फिर धर्म
He
व्याध ने उसको
closed
उपदेश
it.
दिए
He
कि
took
महाराज
Kaushik to his home and he
है,
instructed Kaushik on dharma.
और
And
एक
in
बुक
Mahabharata,
है, ये
there is
ऋषि,
a
उसका
there are separate
नाम है धर्म
chapters
व्याद गीता है।
and the chapters are
महाभारत
entitled
में जो
Dharma
है,
Vyad Gita. In
हमारे यहाँ
Mahabharata, there are
महाभारत में
many
कोई व्याद
Gitas,
नहीं है,
like we have Bhagavad Gita, that is
लेकिन
also part of
थोड़ा
Mahabharata.
वो
So there is this
समझने के
Dharma
लिए
Vyad
उसको उपदेश
Gita
दिया कि
separately.
धर्म क्या है,
So he
और कैसे
instructed
उसको,
Kaushik on
धर्म
Dharma,
का जो सार है वो यही है कि अपने स्वधर्म का पालन
and
करो।
the essence of his
तो उसने
teaching
कहा देखो
was to
मैं एक
follow
व्याध
one's
में
Swadharma.
पैदा हुआ हूँ,
So Dharma Vyad
इसमें मेरा
explained
कोई
that, see, I am born in this Vyadha
मेरा उसको मैं
Kul or this
एज
dynasty,
धर्म
so I am
नहीं
just
मानता,
doing following my duty.
क्योंकि मेरा एक
I
धर्म है जो
myself
मैं करता हूँ,
have
लेकिन
no
मैं धर्म का
interest in
पालन
killing
करता हूँ,
others,
अपने बच्चों का पालन
but
पोषण
this is
करता हूँ,
I am born in this and it is my
और
job.
जो
So I'm just
जैसे
doing that
उपदेश होता है
to
उसके अनुसार मैं जीवन
feed
जीता
my
हूँ।
family, to serve
इसलिए
my
मेरे को ये दिव्य
parents.
ज्ञान
I'm
प्राप्त
living
हुआ।
as a grihastha. That's why I have Divya
तो
Gyan,
ये
even though I'm a
कहानी
Vyadha.
महाभारत में है,
So this
इसी को
story is
समझाने के
in
लिए कि
Mahabharata
आपको
to
जिसको
explain this
उपदेश का
point of
पालन
Swadharma.
कर रहे हैं, श्रेयान स्वधर्मो विगुण परधर्मात् स्वनुष्ठितात्। तो शास्त्र में महाभारत में विशेष तौर से इस पर बहुत
So
बल
in
दिया गया है कि
Shastra,
कैसे
in
अपने धर्म का
Mahabharata,
पालन
lot of
करना चाहिए,
stress has been given
और
on this point
वहाँ
about
ये भी लिखा गया
following
है कि
one's
केवल अपने
Swadharma.
धर्म में
And
आप अपने जीवन को
Shastra
जी
says
सकते हैं।
that only in a
आप
situation
ये
of
नहीं कह सकते हैं कि
emergency
ब्राह्मण जो है वो
where
केवल
there may
अपने
be a threat to
स्वधर्म का
your
पालन कर
life,
सकता है,
so then
और
Brahman or Kshatriya
क्षत्रिय जो है वो
they can
आपत्ति की स्थिति में ब्राह्मण का और वैश्य का धर्म अपना
do
सकते
the
हैं।
dharma of
जैसा
Vaishya.
हम देखते हैं
Kshatriya can do Vaishya, dharma of Brahmana
पांडव लोग
or Vaishya in a situation of
युधिष्ठिर समय
emergency.
में
Like we see
जब
that when
कभी युद्ध हो गया
Pandavas,
दुर्योधन
when
को स्वयं
Duryodhan
धर्म
had
से
planned
लड़
to
के
burn them down in the
द्रौपदी
Lakshagriha,
के साथ में,
in the house of Lak,
और
So Pandavas escaped with their mother Kunti from that house, from that palace. They were living in hiding. So they were living dressed as Brahmanas. That's why when they went to the Swayamvar of Draupadi, they went there dressed as Brahmanas. And when nobody could pierce the eye of the fish, then Arjun, when it was the turn of Arjun, people were the Kshatriyas were laughing at him. Being a Brahmana, how can he do that? So he was just dressed as a Brahmana because it was a situation of emergency for the Pandavas. Similarly, when they were living 1 year incognito in Agyatavas at the house, the palace of King Virat, there also they were following another's dharma. Yudhishthir remained there as a Brahmana. Arjun was teaching dancing to Uttara. Bhim lived as a cook. Arjun was living as a eunuch. The other brothers, they were just taking care of the horses in the stable. So Shastra teaches that whatever dharma you have acquired from your vangsha, from your dynasty, you should follow that. You should not give it up. Only three types of dharma can be given up. One is stealing. Earlier, even the thieves, they were also having their dynasty. There is a shastra that is called Chaura Shastra. How to steal. I have that book in my library. I have even read that. So it says that suppose there is somebody's home and people they drill some hole or something in that and they enter. So that book teaches in what type of home, how the holes should be drilled. It teaches that. And that whatever drilling is to be done, it should be round or it should be square shaped. All this is explained in that book. And how much should be, how much can be stolen. There also some rule is prescribed that you can steal only this much. So that is a Chaurya Shastra. So if someone has come in that parampara, in that vangsha of where there are only thieves, so one can give up that dharma. One can give it up. Those who are killing animals, that dharma can also be given up. Third is if you have the dharma of playing the role of a woman. Man has a duty of playing the role of woman on a stage. He can give up that dharma also. So these three dharmas can be given up. There is no sin in giving them up. So this is following swadharma. Now this can be analyzed in another way also. Because when we talk of bhakti, it means swadharma means dharma of swa. Like we studied in Bhagavad-Gita second chapter that we are not this body, we are Atma, different from the body. So what is the swa? Swa is the Atma. And this body, this is para. So the dharma of the body from that angle is also paradharma. And from that angle, the entire varnashram dharma also becomes paradharma. And what is the dharma of swa? That is bhakti.
तो जीव जो है वो भगवान का अंश है.
So Jiva is the angsha of Bhagavan, and being the angsha of Bhagavan, the dharma is to serve the angshi. Not for himself. So our real dharma is to do seva to Bhagavan, to have love for Bhagavan. This is real dharma, and this is what Srimad Bhagavatam teaches.
धर्मो निर्मत्सराणाम सताम। तो श्रोतव्य कीर्तितव्यस्य ध्येय पूज्यस्य नित्यदा, बार बार जो वर्णन आता है वो भक्ति का ही आता है वहाँ पर।
So
तो ये
repeatedly there
वास्तविक
is description of bhakti in Bhagavatam, and that is our
संसार में
real
रहते हुए हम अपने
swadharma.
स्वभाव को भी
So being
समझना
in this
है,
world,
उसको नहीं
we
समझ
have to understand our swabhava also. It is not that we do not need to understand that.
स्वभाव के अनुसार
As long as we are in the body, we should function according to the swabhava of the body. But
वर्णाश्रम
that is not the ultimate goal.
पुमान विष्णु आराध्यते पंथान अन्यत तत्तोष कारणम। तो इस वर्णाश्रम धर्म का उद्देश्य भी
The whole purpose
वास्तव
of
में
Varnashrama Dharma
देवता विष्णु की
is
आराधना ही
to
है।
please Bhagavan, to serve Bhagavan,
सवै पुंसाम
to worship
परमात्मनो
Bhagavan.
भक्ति रधोक्ष जय हेत की अप्रतिहता ये आत्मा संप्रसिद्धति। तो ये स्वधर्म की जो बात भगवान कर रहे हैं अभी, ये शरीर
So,
संबंधी,
this point about Swadharma that Bhagavan is explaining,
तो इसको भी
after that, the real Swadharma is
असली
Bhakti.
उद्देश्य शास्त्र का वो भक्ति में ही है। जैसे
The real purpose,
भगवान
the
श्री
real
कृष्ण
goal of Shastra is to engage us in
भूय शृणु
Bhakti.
में सर्वगुह्यतमं भूय शृणु में परमं वचन। तो जो सबसे गुह्यतम चीज है वो उसको सुनिए। तो वहाँ वो ये
So, Bhagavan
स्वधर्म की
says
बात
that now here the most confidential point.
कहते हैं
There
मैंने
he is not talking about the Swadharma of the body. There he is directly
सत्यते प्रति जाने के लिए।
explaining Bhakti.
तो वहाँ असली स्वधर्म की बात
So there Bhagavan teaches the real Swadharma.
तो ये दूसरी एक विधा है स्वधर्म को समझने की।
So this is another angle of understanding Swadharma. But living in this, while living in the society, we have to take up both, not
तो उसका तो पालन हमको करना ही
just only Varnashram. As long as we are in the body, we have our body has should function according to the Swabhava. But we should remember the ultimate goal of that is bhakti. So we have to understand bhakti also.
आत्मा को अगर देखें
And if you
उसका धर्म क्या है तो आत्मा
analyze the dharma of the Atma, Atma is Sat, Chit, Ananda. It has existence. So what is the dharma of the Atma? That we live and let others live.
तो इसलिए कोई भी काम ऐसा ना करें कि किसी को कष्ट हो। और चित्त का मतलब होता
Should
है
not do anything that gives misery to others.
बुद्धि। तो हम बुद्धि मान रहे हैं, मूर्ख
Chit
ना बने।
means Chetana, knowledge, consciousness. So we should have knowledge. We should be intelligent. We should not get fooled. We should not fool others. And Ananda. So we should not do anything that gives misery to others. We should ourselves remain happy and not make others miserable, make others also happy. So then, this is actually the dharma of the Atma, and that dharma has to be followed by the body only. That's why Paradharma Bhayava means what is Anatma, what is not Atma, that is the body. If we simply lead feeding and nurturing the body, being aware only about the body, then we will continue in this cycle of birth and death. So this Paradharma Bhayava can be explained till that extent from the point of view of bhakti also. So this is a very important point that Bhagavan is teaching.
ये हमको समझाती है कि किस प्रकार
And this verse in Gita teaches us
अपने जीवन को
how
इस प्रकार से जिएं
we can live in a way that we do not make others miserable,
दूसरों को मूर्ख ना बनाएं,
we do not fool others, we do not cheat others, and we ourselves also do not get fooled, do not get cheated, and do not remain miserable, and we ourselves also live happily.
तो उसके लिए स्वधर्म का पालन करना
So for that,
और
it is important to follow one's own swadharma, and in order to follow one's swadharma, one has to do swadhyaya, study of shastra, satsanga, chanting, harinam. These are all swadharma, real swadharma, and they are applicable to everyone. The swadharma of the Atma is applicable to everyone, irrespective of his or her varna or ashram, because every living being is Atma only. So everyone should follow this Swadharma,
इससे फिर अपना कल्याण होगा।
and this will lead us to our ultimate benefit.
यहीं समाप्त करते हैं।
So we will stop here,
प्रश्न हो तो
and if you have any question, you can ask.
गौर जी का प्रश्न है
Question:
कि दूसरे व्यक्ति के धर्म
what are the
को
symptoms of
है और
doing
हम इसे
another
जांचने से
person's
कैसे
dharma? How can we check?
ये होगा जब पहले आप अपना धर्म
Answer:
जान लोगे, इसमें
you
कैसे
will
क्या
be
धर्म
able to
निभाना है,
understand. First, you should understand your dharma.
ठीक है। अब
Like
आप
you
दूसरे
live
के
in
धर्म
your
को जान रहे हो,
residence.
पूछोगे
If
इसमें
you
क्या
start
प्रॉब्लम
living
है,
in another
क्या
person's
दिक्कत है,
residence and ask what is the symptom
तो अगर आप
by which
जानते
I
हैं
can
कि
identify
ये मकान है,
I am living in another
तो अगर
person's
आप उस
house.
मकान में
So
नहीं
if you
रहेंगे तो
know
दूसरे
that
के मकान
where
में
is
रहेंगे।
your house, then you know you are now living in another person's
आप
house.
जानते हैं
So if you know
कि
your
सही के
swabhava
अनुरूप कार्य नहीं करेंगे
and
तो दूसरे को
you are
कैसे
not
उपदेश देंगे,
working according to your swabhava, then you are working according to another person's swabhava.
उनका ही दूसरा प्रश्न है अपने
Next
स्वभाव का
question:
पता लगाने के
what
लिए
methods would you
किस
recommend
विधि का
to
सुझाव
figure
देंगे।
out our
उसके लिए
swabhava?
हमने एक
The answer:
टेस्ट
for
बनाया है,
that we have already designed
आप
a
स्वयं भी पता लगा
test.
सकते हैं, लेकिन एक थोड़ी सी दिशा
You
निर्देश के
can
लिए
figure out yourself
इसको ले
also,
सकते हैं।
but for some guidance
वैदिक साइकोलॉजी institute.com
in
वहाँ
Vedic
पे
Psychology Institute website, you can do that.
यूट्यूब से एक प्रश्न है, क्या वैराग्य और आसक्ति से प्रभावित न होने का प्रयास
Question:
करने से स्वभाव पर कोई असर पड़ता है।
if we do not follow Vairagya,
क्या असर पड़ेगा,
what will be the effect on Swabhava?
तो कोई असर नहीं पड़ेगा। स्वभाव पे असर तो तभी पड़ेगा जब आप उसको बदलने का
Swabhava will
प्रयास
be
करोगे। अगर
influenced
आपका
only
मन
when
किसी से
you try
प्रभावित
to
नहीं होता
change
है
it. If you are not
तो ऐसा
influenced
है
by
कि
anyone,
वो
you will
स्वाभाविक
remain
रूप
what
से
you are.
कठिन काम होता है।
So changing Swabhava is anyway so difficult.
मेरा एक प्रश्न है बाबा जी कि आपने बताया कि परधर्म का
Question:
पालन करना
you said that
यानी अपने चित्त का गला घोटना,
following
तो
another
मेरा ये प्रश्न
person's
है कि किस
dharma
प्रकार
is
चित्त
like
का गला
killing, trying to
घोटना
kill our own
बहुत से
chitta.
भी भयानक है, यानी अपने शरीर
So
वालों
my
से भी
question
भयानक है,
is,
क्योंकि आपने यह भी बताया
why is it
कि
more dangerous even
चित्त का
than
गला हम
even compared to
चित्त
death?
हम अपना स्वभाव हम बदल नहीं सकते हैं, तो किस प्रकार यह
So
ज्यादा
when we
भयानक है।
cannot
तो गला
so
घोटने
change
का
the
मतलब है
swabhava, then why is it so
चित्त को नहीं
dangerous?
बनने दिया आपने।
So trying to kill chitta
आपका जो
means
मूल
basically
स्वभाव है, जो
what
संस्कार है,
you
उसके
could have
अनुरूप अगर
become
आप कार्य करेंगे
according to your swabhava, you could not become.
मनुष्य का परम उद्देश्य है
And if you cannot do that,
परम श्रेय, जिसके लिए अर्जुन ने
then
पूछा था ना, ये न श्रेय हम आपने
Arjun had asked about his
अर्जुन ने बोला
Parama
कि मुझे
Shreya,
बताइए
his
ऐसा क्या
ultimate
है
benefit,
जिससे मेरे को श्रेयस की प्राप्ति हो।
what will be supremely
श्रेयस क्या
beneficial
है,
for me.
भक्ति
So
करना है।
Shreyas is moksha
वो
as well
आपको
as
प्राप्त नहीं
bhakti.
होगी तो यही गला
So we will not
घोटोगे।
get that. So this is only trying to kill the chitta.
संदीप जी कृपया अपना प्रश्न पूछें।
प्रणाम बाबा जी महाराज। आपने ना पहले जब वर्णाश्रम की चर्चा हुई थी तो आपने
So
समझाया था
question,
कि
earlier in a
शूद्र
discussion
यदि
on
वर्णाश्रम में है
Varnashram,
तो फिर
you had said
उससे
that if a
उसमें से
Shudra
उसकी प्रोग्रेस होती है, लेकिन यहाँ
follows
पे
his Swadharma,
जिस
how he will progress
जिसके अनुसार आदमी को अपने
to the
स्वभाव
upper
को
Varna in
बदलना है,
his next birth.
धर्म के अनुसार
But
कार्य करना
today,
चाहिए,
as you
तो वहीं
explained,
से
that
उसका
everyone
संस्कार
should
होते जाएंगे,
function according to
उस
his
हिसाब से
Swabhava.
प्रवृत्ति कैसे
So
होगी,
those
जैसे
samskaras will become more
पहले
solidified.
वैश्य है उसमें
Then
क्षत्रिय
how will
फिर
he
ब्राह्मण, ऐसे
become
कैसे
a Vaishya and then Kshatriya, then Brahman in the
मैंने आपकी
upcoming
बात नहीं
births?
सुनी और
So
आपका
answer,
प्रश्न
first of all, you heard just half
मैंने
part.
बताया था
You did not hear the other part.
पूर्व मीमांसा
What I explained
योग
that
है,
time
यहाँ जो गीता
was
है
that was the Karma
वो
Yoga of
कर्म
Purva
योग है,
Mimamsa, and this is
और
the
गीता
Karma Yoga of
भगवत
Gita, which
गीता
is different.
कर्म
Here,
योग है।
Bhagavan is telling again and again that perform your karma.
जिज्ञासनासि यज्जुहोसि ददासि यत् यत् तपस्यसि कौन्तेय, ये बात मैंने कई बार दोहराई है कि ये जो भगवत गीता का
I
कर्म योग
have
है
spoken again and
ये तो
again that this Karma
प्रसिद्ध योग
Yoga
है
of
से
Bhagavad
संपूर्ण
Gita,
अलग है। इसमें भगवान और भगवान के
it
प्रति
is
समर्पित
little
होना,
different
भगवान को
than the
आत्मार्पण करना।
popular Karma Yoga of
तो
Purva
इसलिए यहाँ
Mimamsa.
ऐसा नहीं है कि आप
Here there is
वैश्य
offering to
बनेंगे
Bhagavan.
फिर क्षत्रिय बनेंगे,
So here it is
ऐसा
not
नहीं है।
that you will become
स्वधर्म ही
Vaishya, Kshatriya, etc. Bhagavan is telling in this life
स्वस्वधर्म
itself,
संसिद्धिम लभते नरा 18वें अध्याय में कहते हैं भगवान के आप समसिद्धि आपको प्राप्त होगी।
In 18th chapter, he says that you will achieve some siddhi, perfection. In this chapter also earlier he said that kings like Janaka, they achieved perfection just by following karma yoga. So Gita is not teaching that karma yoga of the Puromimamsa type.
दिव्यनिताई जी कृपया अपना प्रश्न पूछें।
बाबाजी प्रणाम, दंडवत प्रणाम बाबाजी। महाराज जी, ये जो प्रश्न स्पेशली आपने अंत में ये भक्ति के लिए बताया कि स्वधर्म, जहाँ पर हम आत्मा के धर्म को लेकर
Question
चलते
at the end when you spoke about Swadharma
हैं,
as
परधर्म
bhakti
माना जाता है। तो महाराज जी,
and
भक्ति
just
में
focusing on bodies, that is paradharma.
पढ़ते हैं बार-बार, जैसे जहाँ भगवान कृष्ण एक तरफ
So
यदा
in
यदा
Gita, when we hear repeatedly,
में वहाँ पर कहते हैं,
Bhagavan is
युग में मैं
saying that
स्थापना करने
I
के लिए आया हूँ।
appear in every
ये
yuga
धर्म जो
to
भगवान वहाँ पर
establish dharma.
ये
So this
संसार
dharma
में
that Bhagavan is
व्यवस्था
talking of
करना,
establishing,
सब
so
धर्म की स्थापना करना, वो अलग है, या जो लास्ट में जो आप बताए मन मना भव मद
so
भक्ति,
establishing varnashram dharma,
वो यहाँ पर
that is
बताया।
different,
तो
or
ये
there
दोनों
is
पर
talking
कोई
about bhakti.
भगवान नहीं चाहते कि संसार में भी व्यवस्थाएं, क्योंकि जहाँ पर साइकोफिजिकल नेचर की बात आती है, वहाँ पर कि संसार की व्यवस्थाओं में हमें अपना अपना रोल निभाना है, और दूसरा अल्टीमेट धर्म
Because
के
we
लिए
all
कहना है
have
कि
to
संसार में
perform
व्यवस्था
our
तो ऐसा
roles
नहीं
in
है।
the
मैं इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ
samsara.
महाराज जी कि जैसे हम देखते हैं कि गोस्वामी लोग या इवन चैतन्य महाप्रभु,
The
दे
question
लेफ्ट सोशल सिस्टम,
is that Goswamis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they discarded the social systems, they left that.
साधक होने के नाते भी हम
So
किस पे ज्यादा फोकस करें कि
as a sadhak, what should we focus on? How should we move ahead?
नहीं, इसमें थोड़ा समझिए उसको। मैंने
Answer,
स्वयं भी बताया था कि
I had told earlier also that the dharma of Atma, Swadharma, that is bhakti, and the dharma of body, that is varnashram dharma. So you have to, both should be in harmony.
कहती है, ये गीता भी भगवान कहते हैं अंत में जाके। तो
In
ऐसा
Gita
नहीं है
also
कि
Bhagavan will speak at the end. So there is no contradiction that you have to give up one, you have to take up other.
मन में होती है। चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने छोड़ा नहीं था, उन्होंने संन्यास
People
लिया
think
तो
like this. Mahaprabhu had did not given up anything. He had taken to sannyas, and sannyas is a part of varnashram dharma.
संन्यास आश्रम ग्रहण किया।
Our Goswamis, they also accepted the
गोस्वामी सनातन गोस्वामी
renounced order.
लिया, लेकिन वो दूसरे
They took sannyas, but that was a different type of sannyas.
महाप्रभु ने किया। वो जो पुराना वाला संन्यास था, उस तरह का संन्यास ना हो के ये भक्ति।
The sannyas of Goswamis was not like the old type of sannyas. It was the sannyas in bhakti.
विरोध किया है, उसको छोड़ा।
So it is not that they
जब ये बात की जाती है,
opposed
भगवान कहते हैं सर्वधर्म
varnashram dharma or left.
शरणं व्रज, तो
When Bhagavan says sarva dharman parityajya, when so now the question may be that Bhagavan is speaking about giving up dharma.
त्याग नहीं है।
So that giving up dharma is not in its swarupa itself. What it means is that the varnashram dharma that a person performs, he considers that varnashram dharma as the ultimate goal.
धर्म ही नहीं है।
But the goal of dharma is not dharma itself.
वर्णाश्रम धर्म, वर्णाश्रम
As I said,
आचरण
that
किया जाता है, वो भी विष्णु
the
आराधते पंथानाम,
those who follow varnashrama, that varnashrama is also for worshipping Vishnu only. So the goal of varnashrama is bhakti itself.
तो धर्मस्य ही अपवर्गस्य, तो धर्म जो है वो नार्थ और था उपकल्पते, धर्म का उद्देश्य भी अपवर्ग ही है।
So the goal of dharma is also apavarga only, and for us apavarga is bhakti,
5वें स्कंद में सुखदेव गोस्वामी
as it is explained in 5th canto of Bhagavatam by Sri Shukdev Goswami.
शरणागति भक्ति है। तो इन दोनों में कोई विरोध नहीं है, लेकिन
So there is no contradiction,
विरोध पैदा होता है।
but due to not understanding properly,
छोड़ने की बात
we feel there is contradiction.
गीता छोड़ने के बाद में उसने युद्ध ही किया।
Arjun continued, and Arjun fought in the war after hearing Gita, because the last thing he had heard was Sarvadharman Parityajya. Then why did he fight? So he fought as a seva to Bhagavan. So one is when you follow Varnashram Dharma, you can follow it as Dharma and then you do Karmarpan. That is one method. and other is you follow that for pleasure of Bhagavan, for Bhagavan's satisfaction. So that is why whatever is your psychophysical makeup, you anyway cannot give it up. This is what we see. The people who were working outside, they join some spiritual organization, but they do the same thing after they just change their dress and they do the same thing. And they say that no, I have given that previous life, given up that previous life. How can you give it up? You can give up everything else. How can you give up yourself only? How is that possible? How can water give up its own swarupa? Then it will not remain water only. This is not possible. This is what Bhagavan is explaining repeatedly. It's important to understand that. What is required is to engage that swabhava in bhakti, because that is our internal dharma.
और महाराज जी एक दूसरा कॉन्सेप्ट जो ये श्रीमद् भागवतम में आता है कि जिसको सुन के हम कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं कि जैसे प्रहलाद महाराज जी
So question, another thing that we hear in Bhagavatam and we feel confused.
की अपेक्षा नहीं करते दुख आते हैं, ऐसी सुख की भी अपेक्षा नहीं करके सुख आएंगे.
Just like without expecting dukha, dukha appears, and similarly without expecting sukha, sukha appears. So our whole focus should be on bhakti only, not on varnashram. Then the shraddha that we have for karma,
तो फिर इसमें हम ज्यादा परिवर्तन ला नहीं सकते,
as it is said that our swabhava is fixed only. So then we should wholly focus on Swarup Siddha Bhakti only. Answer: what did Prahlad Maharaj do? Did he do only Swarupa Siddha Bhakti? He wanted to go with Bhagavan. He was praying to Bhagavan that when will you call me as your Dasa? But Bhagavan left. Prahlad Maharaj, he married, he ruled the kingdom, and then he had his own son. So we have to understand all this properly. We just read something and they then get confused, and then people preach also like this. But how will you give it up? You just explain to me, how will you give it up? Those who are already qualified like that, for that only I told about sannyas, like Sri Rup Sanatan Goswami, they gave that up. But then what they adopted, that the renounced order, what we call Babaji Vesh, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took the traditional type of sannyas, and Goswamis, they adopted another type of renounced order, the system which Mahaprabhu created for them. So they were all qualified to be that. But those who are not qualified, how will they give up? Goswamis had qualification. That's why they could not continue working under the king, what they were doing earlier. They did not like that. They were even ready to go to jail.
तो ऐसी स्थिति में आप ये कर सकते हैं पूरा.
So if you are qualified like that, then you can do this. And even when they were living in the renounced order, they worked so hard. They got temples constructed. There was absolutely no transportation system. Even today, constructing a temple is so challenging. The Goswamis constructed temple when there was no help, support, raw material, transportation, nothing. Everything was brought from outside. Today, everything is available here. Whatever raw material you want to purchase, everything is available here. Labor is there. But the Goswamis had absolutely nothing. They had to write books. They had neither paper nor ink. Today you can sit with the computer and you can write book in the computer. So the Goswamis, they worked so hard. So is it like what people say? They just spread all kinds of rumors. They were living under separate trees every night, just wearing kopin. If you live like this, how will you write books? I also write books, so I know what a challenge it is to write books. They constructed libraries. Jiva Goswami ji had an entire library. Now you will say that no, he was a divine personality, everything was in his memory. These are all stories. They sound very nice, and people write all kinds of stories only. But when you go at the level of reality, then they had to work hard, like how we have to work hard. Yeah, it is definitely true that they had amazing alokik intelligence, understanding, but they also had to study everything, all the Puranas, Sahityas, Vyakaran, Shaddarshan, Sahitya, etc. They studied everything like we have to study. Yeah, they had immense capability, so they grasped everything very quickly. They understood the essence, but don't think that they did not have to work hard and everything just dropped from the sky for them. You should read the will of the legal will written by Shri Jiva Goswami, then you will understand what was their thought process.
तो महाराज जी जैसे हाँ महाराज जी जैसे आपने लास्ट में ये ऐड किया कि अल्टीमेटली वो पर्टिकुलर किसी व्यक्ति की योग्यता है जिनको उस प्रकार का धर्म का पालन करने के लिए बोला गया है, तो इसका मतलब कि भक्ति मार्ग में आने वाला हर
So, as you
साधक
said, they were
अल्टीमेटली
qualified, so they were
जहाँ
told
अल्टीमेटली ही हैज टू गिव
to
कर्मा।
do that.
गिव अप कर्मा का क्या मतलब होता है, मैं पूछ रहा हूँ। उन्होंने कर्म
What
छोड़
do you
दिया
mean
था,
by give up karma? That is what I am asking you again and again. What did they give up?
कर्म छोड़ दिया था।
वर्णाश्रम की ड्यूटीज का मतलब महाराज जी
हाँ, तो वर्णाश्रम तो मैं वही बताया ना, आपकी बात दिमाग में नहीं आ रही है, वो वर्णाश्रम का ही तो
So, as I already told you,
वर्णाश्रम
when you say varnashram, what the sannyas they took, it is like varnashram only or no?
ओके
Then what did they give up?
लेकिन वो
महाराज
वर्णाश्रम
जी
आपको दिख नहीं रहा है।
हाँ
चैतन्य
But
महाप्रभु ने वर्णाश्रम छोड़ा, आपने भी कहा, लेकिन उन्होंने तो संन्यास लिया था
you
या
said
नहीं लिया था?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave up varnashram, but he adopted sannyas order.
धर्म का पालन किया या नहीं किया उन्होंने?
He followed the dharma of sannyas or no?
किया था ना। जगदानंद वो तेल लेके आ गया था उनको लिए, तो तेल का बर्तन बाहर फेंक के तोड़ा और उसको कहा यहाँ से जाओ, तुम भागो यहाँ से, मैं
So
सन्यासी
Jagdanand brought oil for Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu threw that away. He said that I am a sannyasi and you are bringing oil for me.
से परे थे तो क्या समस्या
He
थी?
punished Chota Haridas. Chota Haridas just begged for some rice from an old woman. Why did Mahaprabhu give such a strict punishment to Chota Haridas? To protect the sanctity of Varnashram Dharma, to set an example for others.
क्यों सोचते हैं ऐसा कि उन्होंने छोड़ दिया है?
So why do we think like this that they gave it up?
उत्तम भक्त
Question: I read one of your articles.
तो उसमें जो एक कर्म दिया गया मतलब ये
It was written that Uttama Bhakta does not have to
है ना उसका
do karma.
हाँ, तो उनका ऐसा है ना कि वही वो
Answer:
आपको समझना है कि
so
जैसे श्राद्ध कर्म करना होता, तो अब
so you have
उन
to
लोगों को
understand
श्राद्ध कर्म
that
करने की
like you have to do Shraddha karma. So Uttama Bhakta,
दूसरे जो
it is not obligation for Uttama Bhakta to do that.
छोड़ दिया तो उनका शादी नहीं है, ब्याह नहीं है, बच्चे नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, उन्हीं में तो
Those
सब
who
कर्म
gave
है।
up everything, they have no wife, children, nothing. So all karmas are in that only.
अग्निहोत्र होता है, तो
So
उसके
like there
अनुसार
is Shraddha, Agnihotra, all that is not obligatory. But for that also it is told in Shastra that if you are living in society and you are doing Agnihotra, that a Grihastha should do, and you become a devotee,
धर्मान परित्यज्य, अब आप अग्निहोत्र पे निर्भर नहीं कर रहे हैं,
now you are not depending on Agnihotra, that from this I will get Punya Karma and then I will go to Swarga,
लेकिन वो
I
करता
will
है
progress. But that Grihastha Bhakta will continue that. In Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha verse explanation also I told that the Grihastha Bhakta does not leave that, so that there is no wrong message in the society. Giving up means he has given up the Shraddha in that I will get some benefit out of it, but I am doing that so that those who are not qualified for bhakti, they may end up just imitating me and they may give up their karma yoga also, and I will become the cause for their downfall. That's why Yudhishthir Maharaj also conducted yagyas, although there was no need for him to do that. So when it is said that they do not perform karma, this is what it means.
थैंक यू महाराज जी आपसे
अब
सुन
तो
के
वैसे ही कर्म
आपसे
नहीं
सुन के
करते हैं लोग, अब कहाँ करते हैं लोग कर्म?
हाँ,
तो
थैंक
वैसे
यू
ही
महाराज
छोड़
जी।
के बैठे हैं।
हाँ,
अपने स्वधर्म के ज्ञान के बारे में हम लोग अपना स्वधर्म माँ बाप को देखकर उसका ज्ञान आ सकता है कि मेरा स्वधर्म क्या है।
ऐसा है कि अभी जो स्वधर्म है वो वर्णाश्रम वाला तो है नहीं, इसलिए माँ बाप
So
को
the Swadharma that we have now is not of Varnashrama. So what will you
पहले
get from
आपको अपना
parents?
स्वभाव समझना, सबसे महत्वपूर्ण ये
You
है।
have to understand
जैसे
your
कि आपको
Swabhava.
पहले जब वर्णाश्रम था,
Earlier, when there was
पहले
Varnashrama,
वैसे ही बच्चों को
whatever
सिखाया
was
जाता
the
था,
Swabhava
क्योंकि
of
वो जो
parents,
धर्म
that
पालन
was
करते थे
the Swabhava
और
of
ऐसे
children,
शादी करते
because
थे,
they were
बच्चे जब
following
पालन
the
करते थे तो वो
Varnashram. The
तो
marriage,
वो ही सीखते थे।
samskaras, everything was according to the
अर्जुन भी
rules
तो
of
क्षत्रिय, उसका
Varnashram.
बाप भी क्षत्रिय, बाप का
So Arjun was a
जो
Kshatriya,
था
his father
वैसे ही
Kshatriya, the whole generation was Kshatriyas. Arjuna's son
तो वैसी
also was
स्थिति है।
Kshatriya. Today the situation is
माँ बाप कुछ
different.
करते हैं, बेटा कुछ करता है, तो
Parents
इसलिए
do something, children do something else. So first of all,
तो
you have to understand your Swabhava.
तो हम लोग को अपना स्वभाव समझना है, तो ये भी
So
हम लोग
if we
देख
have to
सकते हैं
understand
कि
our
मेरा
Swabhava,
कैसा स्वभाव है
so
और
can
उसके
we
अनुसार मेरा
also
स्वभाव
check
होगा। और ये
अगर आप अपना ही स्वभाव नहीं समझते तो माँ बाप का क्या समझोगे आप?
if when you can't understand,
अपना ही समझ नहीं आ रहा है तो आपका माँ बाप का क्या स्वभाव समझोगे?
when you can't understand your own Swabhava,
स्वभाव
how
का
will you
मतलब है
understand the Swabhava of your
जैसे सत्व है
parents?
आप में, रजस है, तमस है,
So understanding Swabhava means
प्रोक्लिविटी
where
है,
is your Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, your proclivity,
ये
your
माँ बाप से
aptitudes.
आता है या
हाँ
सब
माँ बाप
लेकर?
से ही आता है।
So yes, this also
ज़्यादा
comes
किससे
from
आता है,
parents.
पिताजी से या माता से?
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है ज़्यादा किससे आता
So there is nothing like
है। उसको आप
whether
सब छोड़
more of
दीजिए,
it comes
उसको
from
केवल
father, mother.
धर्म के
So
अनुसार
answer,
चलना
you
है।
forget about all
जैसा
this.
स्वभाव
Main
होना था
your
इसलिए आपको
Swabhava
सब
comes
करना
from your
चाहिए,
own
लेकिन
previous
आपका कैसे
karma.
जन्म हुआ ये कहने का एक
You
तरीका है।
got birth also according to your karma
कहाँ
only.
से आता है
It's just a
वास्तविक
way of
जन्म,
explaining that you
ये
get
तो
from
आपको
your
पता है,
parents.
आपका अपना
You
कर्म है।
did the karma like that.
लेकिन
That's why
आपको
you got
कैसे
such
जन्म
birth and you
मिला
have that Swabhava.
भगवान ने सोचा कि
And
इसका ऐसा
according
स्वभाव
to the
होगा तो
Swabhava
इसी
that
को
you deserve, so
आपके यहाँ जन्म दिया।
you are given a birth
अब ये
accordingly in a
कहने
family
से आता है,
from where you acquire that Swabhava. Now you may say you get it from their DNA and all.
ठीक है। प्रार्थना श्लोक। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनंदनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। एकं शास्त्रं देवकीपुत्रगीतम् एको देवो देवकीपुत्र एव। एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा। कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः। यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्। यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांघ्रये। भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो। नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपाप प्रणाशनं प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्।